I'm your host, Sheila Seppi, and I want to welcome you to this episode on the Conscious Awakening Network. I'd like for you to please visit our website at theconsciousawakeningnetwork.org, sign up to be on our mailing list, and if you're watching us on YouTube, you can always pop over here and become part of our live audience. But if you are on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button. To everybody out there, Roku, Amazon, Apple TV, all of our different platforms, Android. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate all of your dedication week after week. Now, our guest for tonight is Rich West, who is going to take us on a deep dive into consciousness, and that's going to take us all over the place. Now, my co-host for tonight, and actually for this entire month, is Dr. Kimberly McGeorge. Kimberly's work is all about mastering life's mysteries and exposing galactic secrets. She serves as a guide to help people achieve personal transformation. Now, her mission is to empower everyone to activate their innate abilities to reconnect with their authentic self by unveiling the intricate rules of the universe, shedding light on the concealed truths about our reality, and offering insights into other realms. She will provide tools and the knowledge that you need to liberate your potential. Now, Dr. Kimberly has an extraordinary ability to time weave your timelines into their optimal and highest ones just by talking to you. She radically can alter your reality by frequencies that she holds and her presence of being. Dr. Kimberly is internationally known consultant and the inventor of medical technology, including technology that is frequency-based. With her own process, she is able to imbue frequencies into anything, including images. All of the pictures that she uses have been extensively tested with quantum technology, and she uses those on herself as well as others. So tonight is Kimberly's last little visit with us as my co-host. Has been a quick month. So Kimberly, thank you so much for being here week after week. I really appreciate it. We're going to miss you.
Well, I know where to find you, Sheila.
There you go. You do know where to find us. That is true. That is true.
I think you guys are in a bit of a ride tonight. We have Rich West. I've known Rich, 4 or 5 years? I'm not sure, a while.
Yeah.
And even though he's going to be talking, if you book a session with him, you're going to be doing a lot of the talking, because there is nobody that can ask questions and open up different arenas, for you to explore like Rich. He's the best question asker I've ever met in my entire life. And that if you don't think it's a talent until you're in his presence, and it's a mad talent of his. Like he'll lead you places you never could have gotten on your own. And he has a brilliant mind, brilliant analytical mind. He has an inventing mind himself. He's studied many different types of esoteric thinking. He's always learning, he's always reading, he's always studying, and then he's putting his own knowing from all time, all space, and applying that to all different areas. So I don't want to take up his time. Without further ado, welcome Rich, everyone.
Hey, Rich.
Hey,
welcome,
everybody.
welcome.
Hi. How's everybody?
It's great to have you here.
Thank you very much. Shall I just start?
Just start. Absolutely.
Okay, here we go. Consciousness. We're going to explore consciousness. Well, the universe is consciousness. We act as if we are the being in a universe, but in fact, we are the universe with a point of view like this, right? So there's that. I'm sorry, what? Somebody said something? Okay, maybe not. Okay, so there's that. But as individuals, the idea is to come here and we assume the identity, and we bring a lot with us. But once we get here, the game begins. There's just so much going on this planet. And what I've realized after about 50 years of this stuff is that people like us are way more powerful than we think we are. If you just look at how much shit they're throwing at us and how strong we have to be to just play normal. I mean, there's fluoride in the water, there's chemtrails in the air, and there's just tons of shit in those chemtrails, smart dust, intelligent dirt. It's all kinds of manipulation stuff. There's mind control technology. It's everywhere. And all this has to do with consciousness because it's affecting the consciousness and all of this. So it becomes our job to learn about ourselves and the environment. And when it gets right down to it, the way I see it, it's going to be about inner work. Because the outer experience that you experience is going to be by virtue of what you think about, feel about, and bring about. It is a manifestation phenomena, and it works on a very deep level. The law of attraction stuff is nice, but it's a little bit deeper than that. And I'm not saying I've got it completely mastered either, but if we want to change the world, we have to change ourselves. Because the fun thing about it is the idea of it's called in reality transurfing teachings, the alternatives space. And it's that vast consciousness space where every possible alternative reality exists already, not just in the now, but in the past and in the future. And we're not really individuals in a linear time track. We're above time as consciousness, choosing to pick a time, but we have bodies everywhere and timelines and alternate realities and all this stuff. But here now, who I'm being and who you're being, the idea is to go, okay, and now we can be the victim or the victor. And it's like, what's happening to me? Who's doing what to me? Well, how am I doing? What am I doing? How did I bring this about? You know, and it's not just simple, I was bad, and so it's karma. It's way deeper than that. But there's also the games we play. I'm just going all over the place, people. Somebody raise your hand if you got a question, okay? Because I'm just going. Another phenomena is going on about dipping into a physical reality system at this time, in this time track of this key point in our history. So we're here, but also what happens tomorrow and like in the future, like say the next 5 years, next 10 years, is everything going to turn to shit, or are we going to make it? Are we going to wake up and the world's going to be a better place? All those things exist already for each of us. Okay. So it depends on your decisions, what you think, what you feel, what you believe, what you manifest tomorrow and next week may not be what I manifest tomorrow and next week. Well, you take off from this point of here, we're all here together, and you decide, oh, it's looking really good. And so you take off in this really positive track. And I go, I don't know, man. Looks like shit's going to hit the fucking fan. Well, I'm going to be on this time track and I'm going to manifest shit hitting the fan for me and the billions of people in this world. It's because of me, the consciousness that I am creating all of this. So I'm going to stop right there. I can just fucking talk for 2 hours. But anybody? Anything?
Yeah,
I have a thought.
Yeah, go ahead, Kimberly.
We would talk over each other. That's what Sheila and I do. The joy of co-hosting. So I had a thought when you were talking about, things happen to us and beings, and I'm not talking even human beings, but, negative ETs, positive ETs, human discarnates, malevolent consciousness, timeline enemies, past life enemies. So we sometimes, play the victim role, like we're in this void, Rich, and, poor little innocent us. Why am I being psychically attacked? Why am I a super soldier? Poor me. But talk a little bit about how that happens. So what's up with that? How do those other aspects that we've been or are being, since all time is now, so whether it's past or future, we're still being that now, and we're still connected to all those fractals of ourselves. How is that showing up in the now, in the present? And what I see when I scan people day after day is so many more people are interacting with so many more types of beings, and they aren't even aware of it, Rich, positively and negatively.
Yeah. What's the question? Sorry.
The question is, how does that entangle in the now? So how is something that I did 7 million years ago as a different aspect or fragment of myself coming into my bedroom at night? Do you see what I'm saying? Like talk about contracts, talk about agreements, talk about how that can entangle from all time, all space.
Well, the way I see it is that every individual is different and specific. It'd be specific to you, specific to anybody here, their situation. So, for example, you got some aspect of yourself from some 6 million years ago entering into your house now. Think of it like, here's a way to look at it. If you go out of body, or I go out of body, where I go, I may not be in complete control of where I show up, but I can go into another world, another realm, another dimensional plane. It's not, doesn't have anything to do with this timeline. But when I merge consciousness, it's another me there. So I'm not possessing that other self. I'm just, that self that's there all of a sudden feels more awake and more aware with more ideas. And the self that I am here taps into that other self there. Now, it might take a little bit for the new me, the me here, merging with the me there, to like tap in and blend with the memory bank of the me there. And then when that happens, I now understand my life in that realm, plane, density, existence. Okay.
So now, are you talking multidimensional aspects of yourself? Are you talking about different timelines? And for those people who may just be joining us, can you give a definition of what you believe consciousness to be?
Yeah, one thing at a time. To finish what I was saying, okay, and then you can ask me again about what consciousness
Sure.
is. Yeah. Okay, so, but the first part of your question, I'm talking about we live in all space and time, and at different levels of the game, I could say at one level of the game, in my afterlife, I'm there, I was here, I dropped dead here, but now I'm in the between lives area. And I'm thinking and considering that I am one point of view, and I'm not aware of or believe in other aspects of self. So that's just the point of view and belief system of this aspect of me. But I could also drop dead here and go back there. Now, if I go back into that place that I just mentioned with this simplistic understanding of who I am, and I'm going to reincarnate again in a few years or not, I might incarnate on another planet on this timeline in this physical universe experience. That's one way to look at it. But to like say go out of body again, out of that body or out of that realm of existence and consciousness, now you're another one. You'll have a greater understanding of the phenomena of beingness and being who you are. So another way to put it is that depending on how awake you are and how able and aware you are, you can consciously know that you have more than one viewpoint living in more than one plane of existence simultaneously. And you may or may not in the now choose to focus on being there. Some people can do that. I meet them. And they can instantly shift to the other self. And this self, they kind of relax. So this body and this avatar is not like being busy and walking into the street or something. And they shift into their other beingness. Now, when they do that, they may have another personality and character that they are being in that world or realm. And it may be like them, it may be opposite sex, they may be adventurous and strong and aggressive, or they may be very mild and loving and compassionate. But it's the same essence of consciousness, but you're playing a different game and a different personality and character. So you move in that way. And when you do move in that way, are you affecting that personality and character or are you blending with it and agreeing with it? So there's all these different phenomena you can do when you move into that. And are you going to imbue them with your knowing, understanding, and awareness of the physical world? And are you going to enlighten them, or are they going to enlighten you? Or is there going to be a conflict? Or is there going to be a blending of love and, oh, I feel so much more myself? And are they going to know that you are another aspect of them? Or are they going to think you're an entity walking into their space? Kind of. I want to get back around to Kimberly's thing too, but, you know, one thing is she scratches his beard and goes, hmm.
Okay, so the other question that I had was for those people who have just joined us, could you give what your definition of consciousness is?
Oh, you want me to say it, or you want somebody in the audience?
No,
okay.
I'm talking to you.
Okay, conscious, the word conscious, it's con, that means with, and skio, the shiftsness of it all, skio, that means knowing, okay? So it's with knowing. So there's a knowing. And there's awareness and a knowing. It's not a person knowing, it's knowing. That's how I understand it and see it. Consciousness is the knowing. And my knowing and your knowing isn't different knowings. It's like from that point of view that you're in, you're knowing certain things. From this point of view, I am knowing certain things and believing things and all that other stuff. But the knowing is the knowing. And that's the consciousness, as I see it. And that's pretty, you know, that's pretty simple understanding of it. Yeah, it's a pretty deep subject. Then, how about you? How do you define or understand consciousness?
How do I understand consciousness? Yeah, I think consciousness is all things. You know, it's the infinite knowing. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people have a lot of different, concepts about consciousness. But I wanted to ask also, when we're talking about manifestation, one of the things that I have understood is that one of the reasons that we are not able to instantly manifest is because our true time-space matrix has been thwarted. It's kind of been locked down by a false matrix. And my belief is, as more and more people begin to spiritually awaken, they're beginning to break through that false matrix, and they're connecting back through their DNA into that true time-space matrix. And I wanted to see what your opinion on that is.
Okay. The way I look at a matrix, it's like it's an energetic structure of some kind within which something else is embedded. That's a matrix, because there's all kinds of matrix, you know, matrices.
Sure.
So in the context with the movie that came out, the matrix we're talking about is a mind construct. Okay. So the matrix is the mind. Now, is it your mind or my mind or the mind? What is that? It's the mind of God, but the knowing. But from this perspective, I get to choose to agree with and believe in certain things within what I consider this physical reality to be. And the things I agree on, and agree with other people on this planet, it's our mental phenomena. It's what we think and feel and believe. And together, we co-create the reality, or we agree with each other on what is real and what's going on. And we agree to so many limitations about ourselves, who we are, what we are, how to break free. Are we being attacked? Who's attacking us and why? And how do we break free and what's going on really? All these are ideas that when we collectively think them together becomes the mind matrix in which we are trapped. So we're trapped in a matrix, which really means we're trapped in our own minds. Because there's parts of you, you think certain things, and the parts that Kimberly thinks other things, and I think something yet different. So those aren't real. what I might think about something isn't real to you. And so it's not part of your complete matrix, so to speak. And same with Kimberly. And so each of us can break free from it by finding what part of the belief systems and the ideas and the concepts and the things we know or believe we know, are they limiting us? Are they empowering us? And how are we manifesting more of the same thing that we're thinking about and feeling about? And whatever we're thinking and feeling on a deep level, that becomes our reality. And do other people agree? Yes. So now it's even a stronger reality. It becomes part of the matrix reality. And so it's not that a matrix is good or bad, big picture. It's the kind of matrix that we're in. And most of us here on Earth are caught up in all this stuff. And the bad boys, the ETs, or those entities are non-corporeal, what they know how to do is manipulate what we think and what we feel. And this causes the manifestation. It's not what we want, and it's not our intentions, our belief systems. It's what we think and feel predominantly as a mass consciousness that we are manifesting on a mass consciousness level. It's kind of like that. And then bring into the factor, how many people are real people and how many are backdrop people, fill people, are not really real beings. Now, there's about 1/5 of the population is like actually conscious and sentient.
Can you define the backdrop people and talk a little bit about that? Yeah.
The backdrop people are they're fill people. It's like extras in a movie. But let's say you have here's a better way. An online game. You log into the game and there's like 1,000 players. The real players. And so they're running around this massive multi-level, this world, this wonderful universe. And there's extras. There's demons and warriors and all this stuff, but there's no real player at a keyboard playing that character. So they are called backdrop people or non-player characters. And it's been said that this world has a lot of NPCs, non-player characters. There's nobody home. There is not a sentient being running that body. It's a biological body, but it's more like it's running on automatic, it's running on AI, it's running on some programs on a deep level, and only like 1 in 5 people are real people. Dolores Cannon talks about this.
Right.
I actually read about it in 1984. The first time I'm going, what, really? So yeah. So that's the concept and the phenomena. Whether you believe it or not, that's everybody's choice. They can believe it or not. Mm-hmm. But before we go any further, I wanted to mention, because Kimberly brought it up, what about an entity that comes into your bedroom and it's another you from another timeline sort of thing? And what is it, like harassing you, or is it helping you, or is it somewhere in the middle?
I guess what I'm saying is, and it's not just even another me, I guess it could be another me, but there's so many ETs, for example, and this, that aren't even in this quote time and space, if we want to use the 3D terms, that project themselves into here, or into bodies, either way. And they're not even living their life here. They're kind of like just dropping in and out. If you know this, Rich. They're dropping in and out, good, bad, neutral, prankster, harassment, observation, learning, healing, whatever. But it's such a complicated, to me, the way I see things, literally with some of my abilities and with the technology, is a lot of how we believe things work, like you said, isn't necessarily what's actually happening. Even we might see an ET standing in our bedroom and think that ET is standing in our bedroom, but that could be mind projected from a planet or a pod or realm or a timeline, or do you know what I'm saying, or not even be an ET at all, just look like an ET, that a malevolent entity of consciousness that doesn't even ever have a body form. And so I kind of wanted you to say, so why is some of that entangling with us. You do work a lot of the work you also do is with helping people break contracts and agreements and kind of chasing that down in the relationship between this point of view, us, and why these beings might be interlocking with this timeline and us.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Got it. Yeah. Look at it like a bunch of bored kids, and somebody comes up with an ant farm. Hey, check this out. And they're going, oh, little ants running around, and now they can do anything they want to fucking do with the ants. Why? Why not? I'm bored. It's something to do. Or it's a new game to play. Or you got a God being, and he's never heard of the physical world. He's, that aspect of consciousness way back before we fractured and fractaled out to all these little bits on all these planets, bazillions of us. Before that, we were up higher up of the creation scale. We were God's creating more God points of view. And some of these God points of view know that they are from the source God, and some of them think they're the God source. And now they're creating other God beings, but junior God beings, and none of them are in the physical world yet. And all of them are like super capable and creating universes, because all that really is creating with your imagination. And people with vivid imaginations can already close their eyes and create a beautiful home, a beautiful landscape, and walk around in it and touch it and feel it and eat the ice cream. They can do all that. That's a God being. But the belief system surrounding an individual that's a human on the planet doing that is going, oh, it's just my imagination. And thus it's just their imagination. But that's the creator God essence of it all. And you get a lot of beings that know truly what they're doing and how they're doing it are doing this shit. So you get one of them out here that's like bored out of his fucking mind because he can have everything he ever wanted. Just think it. He needs some challenges. He needs some competition. He needs some surprises. How can he do that as an all-knowing being? He can't. So he has to consider himself not all-knowing. So he just dropped himself down one level. And he played that for 1 billion years. And now that's got boring and predictable, and said, okay, got to drop it down, lose another ability, lose another. And so now you got these beings, entire races of ETs, incredibly high in technology. And what are they going to fucking do? Well, I don't know. Let's go dominate the fucking universe. Oh, that'll be fun. And let's play duality. Let's play light side, dark side. Okay, somebody's going to be in, one side is going to be into the expansion of consciousness and knowing and love and all that stuff. Yeah. Oh, and the other side is going, well, we need another side. We can't just be we've been doing that for a billion years. We're going nuts here. How about we have some other guys over here being the bad guys? I'll be a bad guy. I'll be a bad guy. Well, what do I got to do? Just be a shit. Oh, no problem. I can do that. And so now they're running off we're going to control and dominate the world. Well, what kind of body do you want to use? Oh, well, let's use reptilian bodies. Those are fun. Oh, let's be reptilians, but let's create some other giant fucking tall grays, genetically engineer them, and let's let them get the fuck away from us. And now we're not in control of them, and they get real smart. We could program them to be really smart. Now they're really smart. Now we're fucking battling it out, and both of them are like, well, what do we do now? Well, let's go. There's some humans down there. There's some God beings that don't realize they're God beings, creating entire matrix. And look, they're even being victims in it. They shot themselves in the foot with that thing. Let's go. This will be fun. So now they're out there and we're like a game show, worse than the Truman Show. It's like the Truman Show, the movie, except the audience gets a controller. Here, this runs Truman. This runs Truman's wife. Literally. That shit happens. Why are they doing that? Because it's something to do. It's a game. It's play. Or they got revenge going, and they want to do it, or they think the best thing in the universe for everything, consciousness, is to control and dominate everything and be the big dog on the totem pole. That's my quick and dirty on it. But that's a good question, Kim. Why do they do that shit? Yeah.
Well, I want to ask, when it comes to the backdrop people, I want to revisit that for just a moment.
Mhm.
And you said that approximately 1 in 5 people are actually true people. How can individuals find out if they are a true person or if they're a backdrop person?
Oh, that's a good question. That's easy. That's so fucking easy. Now, maybe I can't tell if they're a real person, but they can, and they can do it real easy. They're asking themselves the question, and they know they're asking. Am I a real person? Do you know you're asking if you're a real person? Yeah. Well, then you're a real person. Those things don't have knowingness. There is nothing there to know. It's a robot. It's a biological android robot thing. There's no sentience there, except for the fact that there's consciousness in everything, and everything is within the consciousness phenomena. But by consideration, you and I are considering, oh no, I mean, you know, a person with a being running the body, a sentient being, and then nobody's running that one. That one's backdrop people. That's an NPC, non-player character. It's fill people. It's extras, and it's run on automatic. It's programming. Who or what is programming it? That's another story. It could be AI. It could be right-wing AI. It could be just part of the, you know, it could be all kinds of shit. But that's it's easy for a person to tell. Am I a real person? Well, I don't know, dude. Do you feel like, are you aware of anything? Can you see your hand? Yeah. Do you know it's your hand? I think it's my hand. Well, you know, you're thinking that it might be your hand, but you're not sure it's your hand, but you know you're thinking about it. Yeah. Well, you're good. You know something. Now, a backdrop person, NPC, you can ask them the same question. They could say, yeah, I know that I'm unsure. They can be just saying that shit. Doesn't mean there's actually knowing there, but the experience of the knowing is how you tell. And anybody that's wondering about or worried about, am I real? Yeah, you're real. If take a look at yourself. Do you know shit? Do you know anything at all? Oh, yeah. Well, you're real. Do you ever question that yourself?
No.
Okay, good.
No, I don't question if I'm real. I know I'm real. I know
Oh,
I'm a
good.
walk-in, which brings me into the next question. At the beginning, you mentioned walk-ins. So,
Yeah.
and you said that you were a walk-in, correct?
Yeah.
So you want to share your walk-in story and then talk to us a little bit about walk-ins?
I could, but I would love to hear yours first, so I have something relatable. How did it work with you?
Well, I used to be a very sick person. And in 1999, I went to bed a very, very sick person. I had bone cancer, brain tumors, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue. I walked with a cane. I had erythema nodosum. And I went to bed very much in pain. I had recently been diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. So I had discovered Celebrex, thought it was the greatest thing since sliced bread. But anyway, I went to bed very defeated. The next morning, it seemed like about 7 o'clock in the morning. It was as if someone reached down, grabbed me by the hair of the head, pulled me bolt right up in bed, and it was like lightning ran through my body, and then I was in white space. And I don't know how long I was in white space, but when I came to myself, I was sitting upright in bed, looking around like, what the heck happened? Because first my peripheral vision came in and then my frontal vision. And as I sat there looking around the room, everything was the same, but everything was different somehow. I didn't know how. When I got up, and I put my feet on the floor, it was like was experiencing carpet for the first time. When I walked by the window, and not the window,
Wow.
but the mirror, I stopped in amazement because it was as I was looking at someone else's eyes. And I was checking out my hair and my teeth, and it's like, oh my God. And I was looking at my eyes, and I didn't understand why I was doing what I was doing. And then all of a sudden, I started remembering past lives. I started remembering healing modalities that I had never studied. And I started remembering universal truths that has literally taken me like 23 years to unpack. And I didn't believe in any of that before I went to bed. You have to remember, I was sick. I thought Western medicine was the greatest thing since sliced bread. I'd never read a metaphysical book in my life. I was right in the heart of the Bible Belt. I was religious, not spiritual. So, past lives did not fit into my life. But then immediately I was clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient, and my world was rocked. Everything, I was immediately healed from all the illnesses. And when I went to the doctors, they basically said, wow, this is great. Everything's gone. I guess our medicines worked.
Yeah, right.
I
They
would have
take
been
credit.
studying me out of curiosity personally, but they didn't. Thank goodness. I guess that was in the record. But everything about me changed. My knowing changed, my languaging changed, my articulation level changed, the foods that I ate, the way I dressed, the music I listened to. Within 3 months, I'd left my marriage. Within another 3 months, I'd found my first spiritual teacher who introduced me to shamanism. And it was there that I met what we called the spiritual guides. But the more I studied with them, they were part of my collectiveness that I was before I came in. So, and it goes on and on from there. But that's my walk-in story.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing. You are a walking testament. You're a walking book on the subject, man.
Well, actually, I did write the book.
Good for you. Yeah, sounds like it.
Walk-ins, Cosmology of the Soul. And then Barbara Lamb and I have just finished a book called Cosmic Convergence, The Journeys of Walk-ins, Starseeds, and Hybrids. And it is in its final stages of editing right now. And that hopefully will be released in June. Woohoo! Fingers crossed.
Yeah, wow, it's gonna be packed with all the juicy, good stuff from someone that lived it. Wow, that's amazing. It's wonderful.
Yeah. So,
hey, just before I'll share my walk-ins in a minute, but I was wondering, I don't know how your images look, but down here, I got names. Just a minute. Susie, do you have any questions so far? You like that?
I don't think so. I'll tell you this though. It's kind of funny. I was on Sheila's show. One of the speakers. I'm now living with him in Hawaii, and it took 17 months. But while I was learning about him, he was sending me information, and Sheila was sending me information, and I was reading one thing saying, and I'm at age 38. I was a walk-in woman. I thought it was Sperry, and it was Sheila. But no, I've spent time with Sheila, and she's quite an amazing person, and she is 100% walk-in, and her whole life is expanded into this, So yeah, I don't think I have a question. Just keep going.
Oh, okay, all right.
But thanks for asking.
Sure. I wanted to ask Joan, did you have any questions you'd like to ask? Oh, you're on mute. I know Carrie popped up again. But yeah, Joan, do you have any questions?
No, this is the first time I'm on this program. And
welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, yeah, I have a mind that never stops asking questions. So, yeah, but I'm really interested in this walk-in stuff.
Oh, okay. Well, we're going to talk more about it. And Carrie, how about you? Did you have any questions so far? What was talking about?
This might be off your subject somewhat, but because I'm in the midst of it, it's on my mind. Yeah, this last year has been very interesting for me. I had a scam show up in July, which was a hit on my finances. I mitigated that. And now I'm in the midst of identity theft. And I'm never had that happen before in my life. I have a couple thoughts about it because I've reflected on it. I very much feel that I am a peacemaker. And so this second round of things happening differently, but same elements. I felt that it wasn't a coincidence. I set it up somehow. Here it is. What do I do with it? I was more peaceful this second time, okay, with some things going on. And yet I have questions. I don't know exactly if the timing, because there's something that's due, okay, because it had to do with credit cards and that kind of thing. And I have something due this Friday in one of the cards. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out to me. What I do know or feel that I know is that I am very capable and have the wherewithal, shall I say, to be okay with all of this because I have compassion for the perpetrators. I know that there's some darkness and shadow stuff going on here. I felt like it was past life stuff, perhaps, and the fact that even though I don't feel like a victim, perhaps this lifetime in some way, shape, or form, I have been, what's the words I want to use here? Self-sacrificing, perhaps. And maybe that's martyrdom, you know? I don't know, never occurred to me, but I know that I don't hold things against people, okay?
That's good.
Nothing to forgive. I don't hold it against them. I'm really at peace, and I know they're going through something. And now that I'm in more of a spiritual realm and have been, I have a metaphysical background, I have a knowingness, a consciousness of some things. So I just feel like it's me meeting the darkness, okay, but also helping to resolve some darkness on the planet. That's kind of my take on it. So I wondered if you had any insight or comment, anyone on it. I'm, you know, that's where I'm at.
The only thing I would say insightful is like what you already brought up, past life stuff.
Yeah.
And there are techniques. As a matter of fact, I'm developing one so a person can do this past life stuff on themselves. And it's real easy. But yeah, it'll be something about maybe self-sacrifice or martyrdom. You know, if you're feeling like that might be some, you take your predominant feeling about, you know, the whole identity theft thing that seems unusual. I shouldn't be feeling this way about it, or I shouldn't have this attitude about it. Anyway, you can pick it off, and then you can literally imagine the past life incident. You don't have to recall it.
Okay.
You just imagine what it might be, write it down. When was it, and what's the duration of it, and then imagine going through it over and over again. That's the real quick and dirty. But as insightful or anything that might offer would be something like that will help you understand why it's playing out again in this life. Yeah.
Okay.
That's all I had. Maybe one of the other girls, these brilliant beings here, have something.
Actually, she has timeline enemies or past life enemies. So there's a lot of curses on the genetic one side of the genetic family line, tracing all the way back to I don't really want to say the name on here because there's a lot of feelings about that right now.
Okay.
I think you know what I'm talking about. But there's a certain entity that's really, really vicious. And if the family crosses this group of a certain ethnic race, they're very powerful. They know how to work the matrix reality, and they will you know, curse your whole line. So I would go through and make sure, I don't know, Sheila, if you do this work, but I know Rich probably helps too, but remove the genetic curses down the line, because they're like screaming out from your genetic lines. I don't know if you've ever done that. That's going to take away a lot of that, because we cannot attract anything less or more than who are being at any time. And that means the frequencies we're broadcasting. So that cannot come into the reality by the rules of the matrix game if it's not in you somewhere. And it doesn't have to be in you mentally. You don't have to be putting it forth. It can be screaming from the bloodline. And I see clearly, it looks like to me from your mother's side. So you might want to express that a little bit.
Okay. And so let's say it is from my mother's side, or there is something going on there. Just mentally, I say, okay, what happened? How do I do that? Mentally, I say, okay, what
we would all probably, three of us, advise different ways because there's a million ways. As much as your imagination, works, there's a way you can mirror it back to your attackers. Just flip it,
Okay.
mirror, just mirror it back, say all the way back, say it out loud. You can write it out. You can write it on a piece of paper and burn it. You can flush it down the toilet. You can imagine it, like Rich said. You can speak it out loud. You can, visualize it. You can mirror it back to them. You can dissolve it out of the line. There's a million ways, as rich as your imagination is, that's how you can handle it.
I do have one question around that, because I've started utilizing this, talking to a being's higher self, to dissolve whatever. Is that a possibility of how to handle it?
It's a possibility, but I want to urge a caution.
Okay.
We have to remember we often fall under this illusion that we're dealing with the passive being, but you may be dealing with a being that has more memory, more skill, more magic. And I'm not saying that you're not all powerful and limitless, because you absolutely are.
Right.
And you know that. I feel you clearly know that. However, there's an embodiment that I find that, as much as we want to believe it, you can sit there as a little kid, I'm Superman and I'm going to jump off the roof and I'm going to fly, and we can say it. But if you don't have the embodiment of Superman, you're going to be in the hospital or dead.
Right.
And so there's a difference between here and embodiment of that knowing. Now, if you do have the embodiment that is equal or greater than that being, then that works. I have found over and over again, and we check this with the technology and my own abilities, a lot of people think they do things, and Rich, you have to run into this where people come back to you and you're like, I did the thing you said and it's still bothering me, or it's still there. Because again, I think sometimes the hang up is the embodiment of that knowing or that believing. I believe. Do you? Is that coming out in action? Is that reflecting in your environment? So just before you tangle, and normally I wouldn't put so much weight on it, but these are vicious beings that I even think twice before I tangle with, and I'm pretty you know who I'm talking about, I think, Rich. So, and you might want to get with Rich, because he could help you with that. Maybe Sheila. I don't know if Sheila knows. I'm sure Sheila could help you with that too.
What is your contact information, Rich?
richwest.net. That'd be easy. And then my email, you can just email me. Here, let me write it here in the chat. It's StarQuest.
Right. And Rich, if you could also mention it out loud, because people will be listening to this on Spotify and Google, etc.
Oh, okay. So the website is richwest.net. That's easy. My email, you can email me. It's StarQuest, but with a W-E-S-T instead of a Q-U-E-S-T. It's cute. I thought it was going to be great. But it's StarQuest2005 at yahoo.com. One more time. StarQWEST 2005 at yahoo.com. And yeah, you email me. I check my emails every day. I'll get back to you.
And excuse me. And what about you, Kimberly? Do you have contact information?
Yeah, on my website, secret2everything.com comes out. So secret2everything.com, and I have a contact on there. Or you're always welcome. Anyone is always welcome to write support@kimberlymcgeorge.com. And my daughter runs my business, and she's amazing and a lot sweeter than I am sometimes.
That's true. That's true. I know them both, and that's totally true. I'm teasing. I'm teasing. But yeah, Brianna is really nice. I don't know if it's Brianna, maybe somebody else.
Yeah, it is Brianna. I mean, different daughters have run it at different times, but she's running it currently. Carrie, if you want me to, I can, I'm not going to go to that group for you, but I can pull the curse out of your line for you tonight when I go and do my work in the astral. If you want me to pull it, I will.
I would love for you to pull it if you're willing. I'm willing. Yes, please do.
The group. You might still have some. You can go talk to one of those two for that, but yeah, I'll pull it.
I'll tell you a little bit about what me and Katana do. Katana's like an American Indian medicine woman with deep roots in that. Plus, she's very spiritual and connected with the angelic realms and shamanism and all of this. And she's extremely psychic and clairvoyant. Like, I'm sure, like our two guests, our hosts are. But what we do, we get together, we call it a psychic deep dive dual scan. So you would get with both of me and Katana. You and I talk about your stuff, and I start sensing it and seeing it and feeling it. And Katana is like a clear empath. She will feel your stuff in her body. Sometimes she'll start crying. She'll start almost vomiting, but sharp aches and pain. But anyway, we get a clear picture of it. Sometimes we will run the traumatic past life incident right there with you. And depending on your abilities to see, we can engage you in it, and you can run it yourself.
Okay.
You know, like, we're not making this shit up. Here, you do it. You know? So we do that sort of thing, but we can also clear curses and that family line's weird shit. And Katana can vividly see the entities that are in your space, and we can track down what was going on before you got here in this life. She can open up your Akashic records and read them. I mean, read them.
I've had some of that background. I've had an Akashic record reading. I've had, something, chords or whatever pulled for me. Different things over time, spiritually releasing and doing different things. But because of what came up this year, right? It was interesting to me, and it's something that I want to release, not only from my ancestor, but from whatever is happening to these people right now, these beings. I feel compassion, and I want to be at peace with all this, as I feel that they probably do too, in some way. So thank you both. I appreciate your thoughts, all of you. And Kimberly, thank you so much for pulling whatever you're pulling out of my line.
Much thank you, Carrie.
Much gratitude.
Thank you.
I'd like to say something about the whole phenomena of we do a lot of work on ourselves, or we have somebody else help us do our work, and then 2 days later you're back in the shit. What the fuck is that about? What it's about is like being in a war zone. The war is for your mind. That literally there are beings, non-humans, that want to control and dominate this world and have been working it for thousands of years, literally. And they are high tech, and they know what to do and how to do it. And they are constantly coming back at us. No matter what you do, they're going to come back and come back and come back. So when we do something to fix it, what I've noticed personally, I hope everybody's not like this, but wait for it. What? 30 minutes, couple of days, week, bam, it's back. So you start learning how it works. It's being in a war zone. You're in a war zone. If you won this battle there, you didn't kill everybody and the war's not over. They're going to come back and try to invade your space and take you over, hold you captive. So as long as we're in this world, in this matrix, in this weird place that we're in, we're always going to be dealing one way or another with this aggressive, regressive alien technology and ETs, not to mention the demonic stuff and all that kind of weird entity phenomena, incubus, succubus, just energy parasites and vampires. It's always going to be there. So what I realized is, okay, this has got to be me working on myself to, one, make myself very unattractive or undesirable for that phenomena. So you can do what you do to, you increase your love vibration. That's something that I see that you're doing, Carrie, with love and compassion and not holding a grudge. This makes you less of a target, but there are different kinds of entities with different fucking agendas, and they can still come at you. And the hardest ones, some of the hardest ones I've seen are the hardware technology, physical universe, beaming station down the street in an apartment somewhere on a high skyscraper, targeting you specific. I'm not saying you, Carrie, specifically, but targeting people specifically. That shit is hardcore, and we get a lot of that. I mean, the military grade stuff, man. Right, Kimberly?
I was
Yeah.
going to say that comes up all the time that
Yeah.
they do scans that there's satellites and they're specifically aiming like Rich's, and actually they are Rich's frequency, my frequency. They go after Sheila. They probably go after and a number of you, not everyone, and they turn it on and off. Sometimes we get this little lovely break, but that EMF and all those associated frequencies are vicious, and they're hard to fight off. That AI technology and advanced technology, for sure. I totally agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's a, one way to, if you want to be the forever optimist, or the diehard realist, that's another thing. We have aspects of ourselves or beingnesses that we move into at different times of the day, different circumstances. Sometimes these can be at odds with each other, or you're in one and you want to be the forever optimist. Well, there's techniques you can use to play those off of each other, and the negative will discharge on the positive like a battery. Negative charge, positive charge. You connect them together, it'll discharge, and you'll end up in the middle, neutral, not charged. And so you can get rid of your emotional charge, your mental charge, your psychic charge by doing this kind of work. It's called a dual item release technique. And you go, what might be some of the reasons for being a diehard realist? Because I don't want to be fucking wrong, because that's not good. And if I just be realist, I am right most of the fucking time. And it's negative shit. It's probably something bad's going to happen tomorrow. Okay, well, what might be some of the advantage, or what might be some of the reasons for being a forever optimist? Well, I'm not, but if I was, the reason would be to play the light side, think about and feel about, and maybe bring about more of the positive. Especially if I was forever optimist, I wouldn't be thinking and feeling negative shit, and I probably wouldn't manifest it. Oh, and there's a million other questions you can ask back and forth. You flip one to the other, one to the other, one to the other, and you discharge off, and you stop being this negative thing that you're being. A fucking victim, but not just a victim. It'd be more specific, being victimized or targeted by a specific agency, group, entity, whatever. And that's just one technique that you can start using to get these entities and stuff off your case, and use one technique. It might work, but you might get rid of this entity, but there's another one. He was just working for somebody. That entity, gone. His boss just brings in another grunt to fuck with you. So that's a thing. And so you might think that, the technique didn't work. And that's what they want you to think. But it did. It's just, this is another guy, looks just like the last demon or entity. So it's a lot of tricky little subtle things. Is this a copy of the last one? Yeah. How many copies are there? Or how many are there of you? Oh, there's 12. Oh, there's 30. Well, I want all of you gone. Who's your boss? And now you go after the boss entity or ET in the incorporeal, non-physical realms, and you take care of business up there. And sometimes it'll be AI stuff, the Red Queen AI, or whatever you want to call the particular kind of AI that it's artificially intelligent. It gets into your mind and it feels like your own thoughts. Anyway, that's just me running off the mouth again, folks.
Well, Rich, this has been absolutely fascinating. I want to kind of officially open it up. If anyone has a specific question that they'd like to ask Rich at this time, please go ahead and just raise your hand. Just feel free to ask. Okay, we have a couple here. Dean, your hand came up first.
Hi, Rich.
So, hi, Dean.
Hi, Sheila. I know a person who is into tarot reading right now, and I think she's very good. I sense she knows about me, and she's done one reading on me. It was a long time ago, but I sense she knows things, and she knows about me, etc., and it's got all that going on. Yet at the same time, what I want to know is, why is she so attached to so much stuff? she's got to have the 30 tattoos. She's got to have all the jewelry. She's got to have this. She's got to have the Chanel purses, this and that. Everything is directing the focus and attention towards her. Same with her being on TikTok and showing her bod and all this. Okay, I think you know where I'm going, so save time. Can you speak to that?
Who, me?
Oh, yes, sir. I'm
Dean,
addressing
you're
you. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Yeah, yeah. So we're talking about the attachment she has to these sort of things. Is that what you're asking?
Well, is it
Or the thing about the
a
tarot cards?
seduction? Yeah, I mean, is all of it really? In the end, I'm wondering, is all of it really a seduction? Is this as long as I'm doing it, as long as I'm in charge, as long as people are coming to me, as long as I'm being worshipped, as long as I'm whatever,
Yeah.
that and therefore is it false?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. A lot of this, it's not all of it, but it depends on each individual. But a lot of the phenomena you're sharing about her is it's either programming from this life or carryover from past lives. And a lot of the carryover will be because of triggers in this life will trigger that stuff. You think gypsy stuff or needy child, never had anything, finally has the opportunity to get stuff, but now she got somebody taking her stuff away, so now she's hoarding. Or I'm not saying this specifically is her, but the phenomena of having characteristics and ways of being in this life are often built before we're 7 years old, if it happened in this life with a rough childhood or a weird childhood or something, and weird parents or what. But also it will trigger past life things and ways of acting and behaving, and one's nature can be locked up, and they're living as the character they were in a past life phenomenon. And so if that's the case, you can do traumatic incident reduction sort of stuff. And if she was interested in changing herself, and she decided that what you see as aberrant and not right in her, if she saw that as not right and she wanted to fix it, then you could address it. But if she doesn't want to fix that, and she doesn't see it as wrong, then we would want to look at you and like, why would you give a shit? Right. But of course we give a shit. If I got a friend acting weird and like, what's wrong with her? So there would be something going on there, but there's something going on here as well.
What I'm wondering is if the one is directly related to the other, but in a negative way, in a seductive way, in a false way, in a way which is demonstrating by results, I guess, if you will, or especially in the tarot reading results.
Oh, okay.
As a spiritual person, as a person giving good advice, as a person who's directing you properly, but in fact, what it's really directing you to is deception, and that deception is empowering her, is gaining more attention towards her. I'm being very specific now. And by the way, she was a very spoiled child. I know that. Just to speak to that.
Thank you, Dean.
These are great questions, Dean. Her tarot ability, if you feel like it's really good, you can actually look at this as she could go into a different beingness when she's doing her tarot, and it's really a different being or another completely different aspect of her that's doing this quality work. If you sense and feel like it's good quality tarot reading stuff, the tarot reading it's just a psychic ability, and the psychic is using the cards as triggers to really tap into the knowing. It's not the cards, it's the psychic. Okay, so there's that. So if you think her tarot stuff is good, that's one thing. Put that aside. But if you feel like there's some seduction thing, like seducing you by giving you this really good stuff and drawing you into her world, and you don't like it, you want to look into that. You want to look into what is it about her and what is it about you that she's she's being seductive, but what is it about you that's attractive? We often have addictions, and we desire things, and we don't really realize we really desire them. Like worry. If you weren't worrying, let's just say somebody, you didn't have a lot of problems, but you walk out one day and you look outside and you go, and you start worrying about something. There's nothing wrong. You're just bored. It's like, what am I going to do today? I got the food, the rent, and everything's covered. I'm good. I'm healthy enough. If you notice yourself automatically looking for a problem and a worry, you could ask yourself, am I addicted to this? Am I drawing myself into this and focusing in on this thing? If I am, why? Because looking at a worry doesn't seem in itself like very attractive. But what you do is look at, how am I feeling if I'm not being concerned about that? And oftentimes the way we are feeling without outside stimuli, we don't like. We don't think about it because we're all very busy staying focused on other shit. And so you get somebody like this woman in your life, and she's got all this weird shit going on. As long as you can focus on that shit, like, God damn, that's weird. You don't like, it's all about her. You don't have to think about you. You don't have to think about what's going on here. That shit's hard to confront. So much easier to look at somebody else. I'm not saying you're wrong for, asking about this lady, because we all have that sort of people in our lives that we go, what the fuck, mate? I'm just saying, looking deeper into it, this is how we could break it down. You have to either fix you or fix her, so to speak, change something about you or change something about her. And there's lots of things for either way. So,
okay.
Yeah, thanks for letting me talk, Sheila. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks, Dean. Appreciate it. All right, so let's go ahead and go to Joan, and then we'll go to Susie, and then we'll wrap up. Okay, hi, Joan. Can you unmute? There
Yes.
you go.
Okay, thank you. Well, I just I want to learn astral projection, and I'm just having difficulty with it. Maybe I'm just not practicing enough. Is there any suggestions that you have if you want to learn astral projection?
Me? Sure. Yeah. Okay, first of all, that's one of my big things. The whole I call it out of bodies. Specifically, to slice and dice, an astral projection would be projecting your consciousness or your astral body out of your physical body into the astral planes.
Right.
So you want to define the astral or the astral planes, because there's a belief system about what that really is. And so you can astral project, and you're going to be in the astral planes. Well, there's a whole lot more going on than astral planes. Okay. So you can say out of body experience.
Right.
And now you're conscious, and it's not necessarily an out of body experience. Specifically, it's an out of body experience if you're laying in your body and it gets that sleep paralysis thing and you can't move the body and you get the vibrations, all that good stuff. And now you can roll out and separate. Now you're in a second body or just a point of view. And now you're looking at your body and go, oh, look, I'm out of my body. It's definitely an out of body experience, not an astral projection. Unless you consider that where you projected out of was into the astral realms. It could be the etheric plane. It could be the astral, lower astral, middle astral, higher astral, mental, causal, all these, but it could be alternate reality, parallel universe, all these labels. So we can get past those labels. And I think what you really want to do is shift consciousness into another realm or plane of existence, is the non-physical. That would be the simple. Is it kind of what you're doing?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I wanted to do that for years. It took me 14 years. It won't take you 14 years. You got the internet. Okay.
I haven't got 14 years.
No, yes, you have, Joe. Unless you don't want. I figure I got at least, I can make it to 100. I'll be 75 in a couple of weeks. I think I still got 25 left in me. But anyway, if to consciousness shift, It takes practice. And what you need to practice is you being awake while your body's asleep or in a trance state. That's cut and dry. But how do you do that? There are many different techniques. And I do happen to have at ridgewest.net an out-of-body boot camp. It's called Ubi Boot Camp. And it's a course on how to get out of body. But it does take practice. You want to practice every day. I found Robert Monroe's techniques very useful. His technique in his book, the first book, Journeys Out of Body, about 2/3 of the way through, he explains his technique very clearly. And that's the one I used over and over and over and over and over and over. And finally, it got me out of body. So I'd highly recommend Robert Monroe's stuff. And he's also got these things called hemispherical synchronization, binaural beats, one tone here, one tone here. The brain picks up a middle wavering tone. Okay, that gets the brain hemispheres synchronized, which helps with the out-of-body thing. And then he has a talk-down tape. He calls it Focus 10. You get into, you focus in a certain way. Again, the body's asleep, you're wide awake. That's the whole technique. And then there's techniques for separation. You roll out this way, roll out that way. You just keep working at it. You'll get out. But it does take practice. It takes work. It takes commitment. It does. But you can do it. Yeah.
And I'd like to go ahead and add also, Joan, if you go to well, you can go to the Monroe Institute, but also on YouTube, and you can type in the Gateway Meditations. There's one or two that are very, very basic that can also, it provides you a little bit of information and practice on how you can begin to astral project. And then, of course, that'll get you ready, and you can work with Rich through his techniques as well. But the Gateway will really, it's a really great way to start.
Well, I've done the Gateway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I
So
have another
okay,
too,
you've done the Gateway. You got the whole series, the Focus 10, the Focus Intro, Focus 10, Resonant Energy Balloon, all that stuff. You did that? Okay, how long? How much time did you put into it so far?
Well, I think I haven't practiced enough,
Yeah, you got to do it every day. Every day. Another thing that will help, it's not part of the Monroe teachings, but it will, if you do it as well, really helpful. It's quiet mind practice. There's lots of different things to do, but if you just set a rock or a candle on the table and you sit there and you're going to be talking to yourself, you want to shut that voice up. It's you talking. It's an aspect of you talking. It's a part of you talking. Usually, not always, but you want to practice quieting that down as much as possible, because how it helps with out-of-body experiences is that your mind stays alive with your internal dialogue. Your internal dialogue is keeping your mental phenomena going. Doesn't matter what you're talking about. And that mental phenomena going is kind of like a gooey energy net around you, and you're in it and trying to wake up. Well, the body's asleep. When you get this mind chatter going, you're going to have to work through more energetic phenomena. Okay. Now, because even usually when we fall asleep at night, we're talking to ourselves. So body falls asleep, you fall asleep after the body falls asleep, and you're still talking. And then finally you turn it all off. But you're already past that sweet spot where you could probably get the vibrations going that Robert Monroe talks about, and the sleep paralysis, and then the rollout separation technique. You're already past all that because too much mind chatter. So you can practice quiet mind stuff. And I mean fucking practice. I mean, I did a lot of it. I mean, I've done hundreds of hours of that stuff over the years, but for the Robert Monroe stuff, you got to do it. I'd stare at a rock every night, and I'd listen to the audio, either the Focus 10 or just the resonant tuning. He's got one tape. It's called Resonant Tuning. And that's all it is the ohms and ah with the sound.
Oh, okay.
And that's it. Nothing else. So that was an extra tape. I got them I got my set in 1989 when they were still on cassettes. I still got it over on the bookshelf.
Yeah, I have them too.
Okay, so yeah, practice.
So
Practice.
what is your website again?
richwest.net.
Okay.
And you can
Thank
get my
you.
out-of-body course, and you can get, there's some other things you can get to. Oh, and there's sometimes it's we got other kinds of blocks, entities sometimes limiting beliefs are blocking us from getting out of body, and sometimes it's emotional phenomena. One of the big blocks is the fear.
Yeah.
The fear will trigger. If you ever did you ever get the sleep vibrations? Did you ever get the vibrations or the sleep paralysis? Did you ever get that far?
Yeah.
Did it get real scary after that?
No, then I fall asleep.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. That's when you do that quiet mind practice, staring at a rock or candle. Not only are you quieting the mind, but you're practicing staying awake. Because you stare at a rock for like 10 minutes and you're gonna start going like, huh? And you got to practice staying awake. And that practice will carry over when the body falls asleep at night and you want to stay awake. So you get that mind awake, body asleep phenomenon going.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe I'll meet you there.
Okay.
Thank
And
you,
one
Joan.
thing to say about that, you
Thank
guys.
you.
My soul family, if you know who your ET soul families are, they are more than willing to help you lucid dream, astral project, get out of body. You ask them, they will start coaching you and working with you. Mine have been a tremendous help in some of these more that we consider more challenging things. And they come in at night, multiple groups, and they'll work with you. So if you don't know who your soul family is, I highly suggest you identify with them. And this is for all things in life. And start communicating. These are your mothers, brothers, cousins, sisters, friends, lovers, husbands, wives. They care about you. They want you to succeed. They want you to remember who you are. And they will come in and work with you. So I highly recommend just everybody do that in all things of life, because we can never have too much real assistance that is benevolent working on our behalf. So, these beings are outside of the reality. Usually they're outside of the construct, and they can give you tips and keys. They also know who you are, and they may have insight into why you're not succeeding. So that's my little suggestion there.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. That reminds me of a technique. If you need help with entities, like entities are bothering you, especially if they're the tall gray types, but various kinds, you specifically ask your friends out there to specifically deal with a specific kind of entity. That specificity is really important. And if you're talking like giant cats, or the feline race of space cats out there, ETs, well, they can operate in the astral really well, and they do not like the regressive ETs that are messing with humans. And if you specifically ask one of them to specifically address, would you get this mind controlling creep out of my space? Bam, they will do it for you. But you got to ask. They're not just going to do it unless you ask. Kind of like that, right, Kimberly? But more than just giant cats, right?
But obviously your family, because that is still your family. I mean, you're living with people right now because all time is now. Now they have a vested interest. Your star groups, your soul family is a vested interest. Not saying other races won't come and assist, but if you were never a hybrid cat, they're not going to be as inclined to help as if you were cetacean, dolphin, whale, mermaid, whatever. They're going to be right there, and also once you identify your star races, things make more sense. And there's a resonance that's opened up. There's a portal. There's a doorway of conscious and unconscious frequency communication that begins. And again, I'm a fan of assistance. You can never have too much assistance, because
I know, right?
Finding our way back to oneness. And so the more and the more groups you can bring into your space, whether here, within the game or outside of the game, it just becomes such a brilliant, amazing adventure. And, you have enemies in these races, but you usually have more friends. I want to drop one really thing that I think is life-changing. I probably said it before, but I'm a big fan of calling in your accounts receivable through all time, all space. again, once you know your soul family, you can go to the Anunnaki, you can go to the Dracos, you can go to a lot of your reptile races too. You can go to the Pleiadians and you say, I know I have some favors out there that are hanging out there in all time, all space. You know what? My bank account's a little low. You know, I'd like to go on vacation. I'm having trouble in this romantic relationship. It's not a magic genie. This whole multiverse works on energy exchange. And a lot of you guys have huge bank accounts out there in what we would call, you know, the multiverse or outer space that's just sitting there. And Rich said a very key thing. And the Bible also says this, and I'm not a Bible fan, but it says what? It says we have not because we ask not. So part of why we're not assisted and we don't receive assistance is we don't know who to ask. We're not asking the people that love us and know us best. You know, we just don't ask. So it never hurts to, you know, knock on that door and ask. So start asking. Watch what happens.
Wow, that's
Beautiful.
great
Thank
advice. Thank you, Kimberly. I'm
you.
doing it. I'm doing it tonight, man.
You're so cute, Rich.
Yeah, and thank you, Rich. As we begin to wind down, and I'm going to come back for final comments, I'm going to go ahead and bring Susie up. She always has a beautiful song to share with us.
I was wondering when I was going to get to hear Susie play her guitar.
Well, Rich, you'll have to come again because we never did hear your walk-in experience and the time's gone, so you'll have to come back.
Okay.
Let's see who wrote this. I forget who wrote this, but I'll think of it. I've seen my share of struggle when I thought that I knew best, when I sailed through a storm instead of stopping to rest, and it always seemed to be the hardest when I made up my stubborn mind. Well, I'm changing my ways this time. I want to be like water coming down the mountain in the shadowy canyons, flowing from pool to stream. I want to be like water, head up hill no more. I am bound for the sea. Have you ever seen an eagle straight up in the wind? He does not pick a flight, spreads his wings and just gives in. And in the end, he always makes it home just fine. I guess he knows every storm resides. I'll let nature take its course. No more thinking that I know where this river is meant to go. I've railed against the stars for the cards that I've been dealt, for the lottery I never won and the heartache that I felt. Seems when I let go of expectations and regret, life has plenty of surprises for me yet. I want to be like the water coming down the mountain and the shadowy, the canyons, flowing from pool to stream. I want to be like water, head up hill no more. We are bound for the sea. We are all bound for the sea.
Thank you, Susie.
Beautiful. Thank you. Good message.
Always appreciate Susie and her songs. You know, Susie is dedicated. She's been driving down the road. Time for cosmic conversation. She pulls over the road, jumps in the back seat, grabs her guitar, and away she goes.
Oh, sweet.
It's always a pleasure. I'm very, very grateful to be here. Always.
Oh, well,
And
thank you.
We're going to miss Kimberly, though. Wow.
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you. I've really enjoyed getting to know you and, you know, being in all of your presence that are here every week. So she has a very, you know, created a very beautiful space and a very special group. And you're a very, very bright light, Susie. I really appreciate you and everyone who participated. Thank you tonight.
Kimberly, so while we have you up, do you want to go ahead and share a few final thoughts for the month as we kind of wind everything down?
Wow, final thoughts. I just want to say there's a lot happening in the collective, a lot of changes, and people are waking up. Not only are, the collective, the 3D, waking up, but I think you guys are leveling up. And one thing that we're seeing a lot in scans, so when I'm looking at people's fields, is there is a lot of opposition right now. And there's a lot of opposition because they don't want us to wake up and remember who we are, which is what Sheila talks about a lot in the show with her guests, which is limitless. We are the all, we are all time, all space. There's nothing we can't do. And we are remembering who we are thanks to shows like this and guests like Rich and, opportunities to connect on the internet. And so there's some interesting programs that have been launched. I'm going to be talking about it tomorrow in my monthly group, but there is some special targeting new programs that they're running for the next couple months. So don't, I like what Rich kind of said, expect it. Like I call this, this is a hell realm game. This isn't, we didn't sign up for, little pony, bunny tails and rainbows. Like we are warriors. We are the gods, as Rich said. And we're in a battle, and yeah, you guys will get a break and you can win the game ultimately. And of course you will, because there's no death, and we're going to be playing different games for eternity together and apart and all of it. But stay the course. I really see an up leveling in the overall collective frequency. My time that I see, as Rich talked about the different timelines, my timeline's amazing. I live to 100. There is no destruction. There is no massive nuclear war. And it's groups like this that can bring it to that beautiful, positive, uplifting, less of everything negative timeline. And so, when things like that have happened to you, beautiful Carrie, and other people, and we encounter this opposition, I also kind of see it as a sign of approval. If Carrie wasn't doing anything, if she wasn't making a difference in the collective, she's not going to have any problems. They're going to ignore her. And so sometimes I think we need to say, sometimes this opposition or this attack is a hand on the shoulder and, go girl, go. You're under opposition because you don't have to be Sheila. You don't have to be Rich. You don't have to be me. You don't have to be Susie. But your beingness, each one of you holding that frequency, desiring to expand, desiring to connect, activating your psychic abilities, raising your frequency. It's really those, we need everyone, standing, we're all in this together. And so I applaud everyone, even for up to a show like this and taking the time and the commitment and listening and supporting and being here. And I think you guys are amazing. And it's, beings like all of you that are going to up level us to 5, 6, 7D within the next, 10, 20, 30 years. And so I celebrate all of you. I encourage you to stay the course. Thank you to Sheila. Thank you to Sheila for providing the platform. Thank you to you guys for showing up, to shows like this and being who you are. And that's all I have to say.
Beautiful. One more
Thank
thing.
you.
Please tell people how to get a hold of you, Kimberly.
Oh, secret2everything.com. I have a YouTube channel and I'm on Sheila's platform too. So lots of ways.
Oh, I forgot to mention, my YouTube channel is Rich2150X. I got about 1,500 videos over there talking about this wild and crazy stuff.
Beautiful. And do you want to mention your website again as well?
Oh, that's very kind of you. You're a really great host. Thank you, Sheila. Yeah, it's richwest.net. And I got lots of courses and services over there about all this sort of thing. And
beautiful. Well, thank you so much for being our guest tonight. I really appreciate it. Kimberly, honey, thank you so much for being here all month. I really, really appreciate all your time and energy. Willow woke up, so he appreciates everything as well. Yeah, awesome. So I just, very full of gratitude. I do want to share before we close, a couple things that's coming up. This Saturday, we have Reverend Michael Carter, who is going to be presenting the Bible, Disclosure, and Transformation. And through the exploration of the ancient texts, as well as the contemporary, what he calls the headlines, we're going to discover what our ancestors knew and experienced when they shared the earth with the gods. And then next month, and of course, you can go to the website to sign up for that at consciousawakeningnetwork.org. And then next month, we're going to focus on the goddesses. So we're going to have Cosmic Conversations is going to present the goddess series. My co-host will be Ariel Patricia. We're going to start out with Anadea Judith, and we're going to go all month and talk about all the different facets of the goddess and the different goddesses and the goddess in us and the goddess in each of you. And so, please come back next month and join us. We cannot wait to have you again. And everyone, you have been listening to Rich West right here on the Conscious Awakening Network. Please sign up to be on our future mailings. Join us for shows. And until we're all back together again, many, many blessings to everyone. Much love to you, and namaste. So thank you, everyone, for being here, and good night.